Ambassador Sarah Chun stood in the pristine white corridors of the Galactic Council Station, her black diplomatic uniform a stark contrast against the sterile environment. For 3 years, she had walked these halls, negotiating humanity's place among the stars. Today, everything would change. The emergency session had been called after reports reached the Council about a minor incident on the human colony world of New Brisbane. Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she reviewed the footage on her personal display for the 100th time. The images burned into her memory. Children's playgrounds turned into scenes of horror. Small bodies scattered across what had been a peaceful settlement. The Zektar. Hegemony had labeled it a necessary police action. Their ground commander, a towering reptilian creature named Vexthal, had claimed the colonists were harboring dangerous elements. The dangerous elements, it turned out, were human children playing in a park. Sarah entered the vast circular chamber, where representatives from 47 species gathered. The air recyclers hummed with their constant work, processing the various atmospheric requirements of the different races. At the center, High Arbiter Colthan, a crystalline being from the Veltar Collective, called the session to order. We gather today to address the concerns raised by the human representative regarding recent events on New Brisbane. Colthan announced, his voice creating harmonic vibrations that the translation system converted to audible speech. General Vexthal rose from his delegation's section. His scales gleamed under the artificial lighting, and his predatory eyes fixed on Sarah with what she had learned to recognize as amusement. High Arbiter, the human concern is noted but unnecessary. Our forces conducted a standard pacification operation against a colony showing signs of resistance to galactic authority. Some collateral damage was inevitable. Collateral damage. Sarah's voice cut through the chamber as she stood, her tone steady despite the rage building inside her. Is that what you call the systematic execution of 43 children between the ages of 4 and 12? Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Several species shifted uncomfortably in their specialized seating arrangements. The Aquatic Council representative's tank bubbled with agitation. Vexthal's tongue flicked out briefly. The human emotion is understandable but misplaced. These juveniles were potential future threats. Our intelligence indicated genetic markers suggesting enhanced aggression and tactical thinking beyond normal parameters. Preventive action was necessary. Genetic markers for enhanced aggression, Sarah repeated slowly. She activated her holographic display, and the chamber filled with images of the children. A little girl with pigtails holding a flower. Twin boys building sandcastles. A group of children laughing as they chased a butterfly. These children were guilty of being human, Sarah continued. Their crime was possessing the genetic heritage that evolution gave them on Earth. You executed them because they might someday think tactically. Because they might someday show the determination their species is known for. The Ethereal Union's representative, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix, pulsed with soft light. The human argument has merit. Preemptive elimination based solely on genetic potential sets a dangerous precedent. General Vexthal's laugh was a harsh, rattling sound. The ethereals speak of precedent while the humans speak of emotion. Both miss the point. The Zektar hegemony maintains order in this galaxy. Humans are a young, aggressive species with a documented history of warfare and expansion. These genetic markers we identified are not theoretical. They represent a measurable threat to galactic stability. Sarah felt something cold settle in her chest. She had spent 3 years trying to build bridges, to show that humanity could be trusted partners in the galactic community. Now she understood that all her diplomatic efforts had been built on a foundation of lies. High Arbiter, she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. I formally request clarification of the Council's position. Are you stating that human children can be legally executed simply for being human? Colthan's crystalline form shifted colors, indicating what Sarah had learned was deep consideration. The Council recognizes the sovereign right of member species to maintain security within their territories. If the Zektar military command determined that preemptive action was necessary, Then you condone the murder of children. Sarah's words fell into sudden silence. The chamber erupted. Representatives began speaking in dozens of languages simultaneously. The translation system struggled to keep up with the overlapping conversations. Some species expressed outrage at Sarah's bluntness. Others demanded clarification of the legal precedents. And a few began questioning their own security within the hegemony's expanding influence. Through the chaos, General Vexthal's voice boomed. The human speaks of murder while her species has a documented history of global warfare lasting millennia. You wage war against your own kind for resources, territory, and ideology. Now you claim moral authority over the necessary steps taken to prevent such barbarism from spreading to the galaxy. Sarah felt the eyes of every representative in the chamber focusing on her. This was the moment that would define not just humanity's relationship with the galaxy, but possibly its survival. She thought of the children in those images. She thought of her own daughter back on Earth, playing in parks just like the one that had become a killing field. You are correct about human history, she said quietly, her voice somehow carrying despite its softness. We have fought wars. We have killed each other over resources, territory, and beliefs. We have made mistakes that cost millions of lives. General Vexthal's predatory grin widened. Finally, the human acknowledges. But, Sarah continued, cutting him off, we learned from those mistakes. We grew beyond them. We became better. And there is one thing our violent history taught. U.S. that you seem to have forgotten in your crystalline towers and artificial environments? She paused, letting the weight of her words settle over the chamber. We learn that when someone threatens children, any children, they cross a line from which there is no return. In human history, those who made war on the innocent discovered that they had awakened something they were not prepared to face. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the air recyclers seemed to quiet. General Vexthal, you believe human genetic markers indicate enhanced aggression and tactical thinking? You are correct. What you failed to understand is that these traits are not randomly distributed. They emerge most strongly when humans perceive a threat to their young. Sarah's personal display activated again. But instead of images of the dead children, it showed star charts centered on Earth. I came here today hoping to find justice through diplomacy. Instead, I have learned that this council views human children as acceptable casualties in maintaining galactic order, that our genetic heritage, the very traits that allowed us to survive on one of the most dangerous worlds in known space, are considered grounds for preemptive execution. She looked directly at General Vexthal. You wanted to see what? Human tactical thinking and enhanced aggression. Look like when properly motivated. You are about to receive an education. High Arbiter Colfin's form shifted through several color spectrums. Ambassador Shun, your words approach the boundaries of diplomatic protocol. The Council urges calm consideration of— The Council has already made its position clear, Sarah interrupted, by refusing to condemn the execution of human children, by characterizing it as a necessary police action. You have communicated everything Earth needs to know about our place in this galactic order. She deactivated her display and stood in the center of the chamber, her small human form somehow commanding the attention of beings that towered over her. I hereby formally withdraw Earth and all human colonies from the Galactic Accords. We reject the authority of this council and renounce all treaties and agreements previously made in good faith. The explosion of voices that followed was deafening. Representatives shouted in languages ranging from harmonic crystals to chemical releases. The translation systems failed entirely under the load. Through the chaos, General Vexthal's laughter could be heard. The humans withdraw from galactic civilization? How will your single world face the might of the hegemony? Your military consists of chemical propulsion vessels and kinetic weapons. You have no allies, no resources beyond your single star system. Sarah smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It was not a pleasant expression. General, you made one critical error in your intelligence assessment. You assumed that because humans are new to galactic civilization, We had abandoned the skills that brought us here. You believe that 3 years of peaceful diplomacy meant we had forgotten 3,000 years of warfare. She activated her personal communicator, knowing the signal would be transmitted across the galaxy through the station's communication array. Earth Command. This is Ambassador Chung, Code Black Authorization. Implement Protocol 7. The response came immediately, transmitted on an open channel that every representative in the chamber could hear. Ambassador Chun? Earth Command acknowledges Code Black. Protocol 7 is now active. All human vessels are recalled. All diplomatic missions are terminated. The Soul Defense Grid is being activated. Industrial capacity is... Admiral Marcus Webb stood in the command center buried 3 kilometers beneath the Swiss Alps, watching the transformation of human civilization in real time. Holographic displays showed factory complexes across Earth shifting from consumer goods production to military hardware. Automated mining operations in the asteroid belt doubled their output quotas. Colony ships that had been preparing for peaceful expansion were being retrofitted with weapon systems that officially didn't exist. 71 hours had passed since Ambassador Chun's declaration. In 3 days, humanity had undergone changes that most civilizations required years to implement. Status report, Webb commanded, his weathered face illuminated by the tactical displays surrounding him. Commander Elena Vasquez, his tactical officer, pulled up production statistics. Military-industrial conversion is at 94% completion. The Martian shipyards are producing 1 heavy cruiser every 18 hours. Luna Base reports the mass driver systems are operational and targeting coordinates are locked. What about the hegemony response? Long-range sensors show General Vexthal is assembling a task force at the Kepler 442 staging area. Approximately 200 vessels, including their dreadnought Claw of Dominion. Intelligence suggests they're treating this as a punitive expedition rather than a serious military threat. Webb allowed himself a thin smile. They still don't understand what they're facing. Dr. Sarah Kim, Earth's chief weapons developer, approached carrying a secure tablet. Admiral, Project Prometheus is ready for field testing. All 6 prototypes have been successfully installed on the new destroyer-class vessels. Specifications? Antimatter containment breach weapons. Instead of traditional explosive warheads, they release controlled antimatter cascades that consume everything within a 3-kilometer radius. The hegemony's energy shields are designed to deflect kinetic and energy weapons. They've never encountered weapons that simply delete the matter they're designed to protect. Webb nodded grimly. Prometheus had been theoretical research until 3 days ago. Now it was humanity's response to the systematic murder of children. Admiral, Communications Officer Reynolds called out, we're receiving a priority transmission from the outer sensor network. The Hegemony Task Force has jumped into the outer system. ETA to Earth, 14 hours. Understood. Signal the fleet. Operation Righteous Fury is now active. Across the solar system, human vessels began moving with precision that would have impressed any military observer. Unlike the massive, heavily armored ships favored by galactic civilizations, human vessels were smaller, faster, and built around concepts the galaxy had never encountered. Captain Lisa Chun, no relation to the former ambassador, commanded the destroyer, Darwin's Revenge, as it slipped through the asteroid belt. Her ship was one of the new Prometheus-class vessels built specifically for this war in just 70 hours. Sensor contact, her tactical officer reported. Hegemony advanced scouts, 3 vessels approaching the Jupiter mining stations. Range? 40,000 kilometers in closing. They're broadcasting surrender demands to the mining platforms. Captain Chen checked her weapons status. The Prometheus drive was charged and ready. Unlike traditional weapons, it required no targeting computers or complex firing solutions. It simply needed to get close enough. Set intercept course. Silent running. The Darwin's Revenge accelerated toward the 3 alien vessels with engines that produced no heat signature and left no energy trail. Human engineers had studied the Hegemony's detection systems for 3 years during the diplomatic period. Every sensor array, every scanning protocol, every method they used to track enemy vessels had been cataloged and analyzed. The hegemony scouts never saw them coming. Fire. Chin ordered when they reached optimal range. The Prometheus weapon didn't produce the spectacular light shows that characterized galactic warfare. There was no brilliant energy beam, no explosive impact, no dramatic visual effect. The alien vessels simply ceased to exist. In the space of a heartbeat, 3 hegemony destroyers became expanding clouds of free-floating atoms. Targets eliminated, the tactical officer reported in the stunned silence that followed. No debris larger than molecular level detected. Signal Earth Command. First contact successful. Moving to secondary targets. Across the outer system, similar encounters were taking place. Human vessels emerged from hiding places in asteroid fields, behind planetary rings and within the magnetic shadows of gas giants. Each engagement followed the same pattern. The hegemony forces detected nothing until their ships simply vanished. General Vexthal received the reports aboard his dreadnought as the task force approached Mars orbit. His reptilian features showed confusion rather than concern. Admiral Kethver explained these reports. Our advanced scouts are simply disappearing? The hegemony's naval commander, a creature resembling a hybrid of shark and octopus, gestured with several tentacles at the tactical display. The humans appear to have developed some form of stealth technology. Primitive but effective against our standard sensor arrays. And the weapon systems that destroyed our vessels? Unknown. No energy signatures, no projectile traces, no debris fields. It's as if our ships were simply deleted. Vexthal's claws extended slightly, a sign of irritation. Impossible. Human technology is centuries behind galactic standards. They use chemical propulsion and kinetic weapons. This must be some form of deception. General, Communications Officer Kralthen interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from the human homeworld. It's on all frequencies, impossible to block. Display it. The main screen showed Admiral Webb's scarred face. He appeared to be standing in some kind of command center, with tactical displays visible in the background showing the positions of both fleets. General Vexthal, this is Admiral Marcus Webb of the Soul. Defense Force, I want to thank you for providing such excellent field testing opportunities for our new weapon systems. Your advanced scouts performed exactly as our simulations predicted. The general's tongue flicked out in surprise. The humans were tracking his movements in real time despite being an entire star system away, Webb continued. By now, you've lost contact with 17 of your vessels. I want to assure you that their destruction was instantaneous and painless. We're not the ones who wage war on children. This is impossible, Vexthal snarled. Human technology cannot what? Webb interrupted, somehow hearing the alien's words despite the transmission being one way. Cannot adapt? Cannot innovate? Cannot learn from 3 years of studying your ships, your weapons, your tactics while pretending to be peaceful diplomats? The screen shifted to show technical specifications that made Admiral Kethver's tentacles writhe in shock. Detailed schematics of hegemony vessels, complete breakdowns of their shield frequencies, weapon capabilities, and structural weak points. You see, General, while Ambassador Chun was negotiating for humanity's place in galactic civilization, our engineers were learning everything they could about galactic military technology. We studied your ships, analyzed your tactics, and identified your weaknesses. Webb's expression hardened. Then you murdered children and gave us motivation to use that knowledge. The transmission cut to external views, showing the approaching hegemony fleet. Massive vessels bristling with weapons, their hulls scarred from dozens of campaigns against less advanced species. Ships that had enforced galactic order through superior firepower and intimidation. Your fleet consists of ships designed to fight enemies using technology similar to your own. Webb's voice continued over the tactical imagery. Energy weapons that can be shielded against. Kinetic projectiles that can be deflected. Conventional tactics that follow established patterns. The view shifted to show human vessels emerging from concealment throughout the solar system. Unlike the imposing dreadnoughts of the hegemony, they appeared almost fragile, sleek, small ships that seemed more like racing yachts than warships. Our ships were designed to fight you specifically. Every system, every weapon, every tactical doctrine was created with one purpose: to kill hegemony vessels and crews as efficiently as possible. General Vexthal felt something he hadn't experienced in decades of warfare: uncertainty. Admiral Kethver, what are your tactical recommendations? Before the naval commander could respond, space around the hegemony fleet erupted with human vessels. They appeared simultaneously from dozens of vectors, their approach vectors calculated to prevent effective return fire. Each human ship targeted a specific enemy vessel with weapons that ignored shields and armor entirely. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds when the antimatter cascades finished consuming matter. 93 hegemony vessels had been reduced to expanding clouds of free atoms. Only the command dreadnought Claw of Dominion remained intact, its massive bulk protected by shields that had been specifically designed to resist the new human weapons. Admiral Webb's face reappeared on their screens, but now the background showed the bridge of a human vessel rapidly approaching their position. General Vexthal, you are now the sole survivor of your task force. Your ship's shields will protect you for approximately 14 more minutes before our next generation Prometheus weapons breach them. The general found his voice. You cannot do this. The Galactic High Arbiter Colthan S. crystalline form flickered through colors of distress as emergency reports flooded the Galactic Council chambers. 6 months had passed since Ambassador Chung's declaration of war, and the galaxy was learning what absolute war meant when waged by humans. The Rigel sector has gone silent, reported the Aquatic Council's representative. Bubbles of agitation rising through their tank. 17 hegemony worlds. No distress signals, no evacuation broadcasts, simply ... silence, the ethereal union's energy being pulsed with dim light. Our deep space monitoring stations detected no explosions, no orbital bombardments. The energy signatures suggest the planet simply stopped broadcasting. Representative Vekmal of the Crystalline Confederation consulted his data tablets. Similar reports from the Vega territories. 43 military installations, 8 industrial worlds, and 2 administrative centers. All communications ceased within the same standard day. High Arbiter Colthan shifted through the color spectrum, indicating extreme concern. And the human vessels responsible? Undetected until after the attacks? When our fastest reconnaissance ships arrived at the affected systems, they found no human presence. No evidence of orbital warfare. No debris fields from battles. The chamber fell silent except for the constant hum of life support systems maintaining atmosphere for 47 different species. The silence stretched until General Vexthal battered form rose from the hegemony delegation section. The once proud warrior showed the strain of 6 months spent fleeing from human hunters. His scales had lost their luster, and several replaced cybernetic implants suggested recent encounters with human weapon systems. "Honored representatives," he began, his voice carrying none of its former arrogance, "I have witnessed what the humans call absolute war. It is not warfare as the galaxy understands it." "Explain," Colthan commanded. "Traditional galactic warfare follows established patterns. Opposing fleets meet in open space. Superior force determines victory. Defeated enemies surrender and terms are negotiated. Military targets are prioritized over civilian infrastructure." Vexthal paused, his predatory eyes now showing something that hadn't been there before. Fear. Humans wage war differently. They do not seek territory to occupy. They do not demand surrender. They do not negotiate terms. They arrive, eliminate all opposition, and move to the next target. Complete destruction followed by complete withdrawal. Representative Meshtar of the Insectoid Collective clicked rapidly in distress. "But surely civilian populations are spared?" Even the most aggressive species observe basic protocols regarding non-combatants. Vexel's laugh was bitter. The humans make no distinction between military and civilian targets in hegemony space. A weapons factory, a government building, a nursery for hegemony young all receive the same treatment. Complete atomization. The chamber erupted in horrified voices. Species that had observed the conventions of civilized warfare for millennia struggled to comprehend such totality of destruction. This is barbarism. The gaseous collective's representative hissed through their atmospheric containment unit. Surely the human government can be made to understand. You still don't comprehend what you're facing. Vexel interrupted. This is not policy decreed by human leadership. This is the entire human species unified in purpose. Their industrial capacity, their technological innovation, their military strategy, everything focused on a single goal. Which is? The complete eradication of everyone and everything connected to the New Brisbane massacre. Not defeat. Not conquest, eradication. High Arbiter Colthan's form cycled through rapid color changes. Surely they can be reasoned with. The original incident involved a single colony world. Proportional response suggests proportional response. Vexel's voice rose to a roar. They are providing proportional response. 43 children died on New Brisbane. The humans have calculated the exact number of hegemony lives required to balance that equation. Every single one of them. The holographic displays around the chamber showed tactical updates from across the galaxy. Red markers indicated hegemony territories that had gone silent. Yellow markers showed the last known positions of human task forces. The pattern was becoming clear. Humanity was systematically working through every hegemony holding in the galaxy. Admiral Webb, Colthan announced to the chamber, has accepted our invitation to address the Council. Perhaps diplomatic solutions still exist. The central display activated, showing the human admiral's weathered features. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship buzzed with activity. Officers coordinated attacks across dozens of star systems simultaneously. High Arbiter, Webb said without preamble. I understand the Council wishes to discuss terms. Admiral Webb, the galactic community recognizes that the hegemony's actions on New Brisbane were regrettable. However, the scale of your response has become concerning to all civilized species. Surely some accommodation? Webb's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes made several representatives step back from their viewing screens. High Arbiter, when Ambassador Chun presented evidence of the systematic execution of human children, this council's response was to characterize it as a regrettable incident. You acknowledge the hegemony's sovereign right to take preemptive action against genetic threats? The human admiral gestured toward his tactical displays. We are also exercising our sovereign right to take preemptive action against threats. The hegemony has demonstrated that they will murder human children based on genetic markers. Logic suggests that any species supporting such policies represents a potential future threat to human children. A chill settled over the chamber as the implications became clear. Admiral, the ethereal unions. Representative pulsed rapidly. Surely you cannot mean to extend hostilities to the entire galactic community? The galactic community extended hostilities to humanity when they condoned child murder, Webb replied calmly. We are simply responding in kind. Representative Vekmal's crystalline structure resonated with distress frequencies. But Admiral, the casualties, entire worlds have been depopulated. Billions of sentient beings have learned what humans learned on New Brisbane, that this galaxy operates under the principle that superior force determines justice, that the strong can eliminate the weak with impunity, that children can be murdered for political convenience. Webb leaned closer to the camera. You established these rules, representatives? We are simply playing by them more effectively than you anticipated. The tactical displays behind the Admiral updated in real time, showing human fleets moving toward new targets throughout hegemony space. Each fleet was small by galactic standards, rarely more than a dozen vessels, but their effectiveness was undeniable. "Your fleets," Admiral Kethver observed through his aquatic tank. "They coordinate across impossible distances. How do you maintain such tactical coherence?" Webb smiled coldly. "Another gift from our violent evolutionary history. Humans developed quantum entanglement communication 3 decades ago. Every human vessel is in instantaneous contact with every other human vessel, regardless of distance." The galactic representatives exchanged alarmed glances. Faster-than-light communication was theoretical for most species, impossible for others. The tactical advantages it provided were staggering. "Additionally," Webb continued, "our targeting computers are linked to a central database, containing the personal identity of every individual involved in the new Brisbane massacre. Military commanders who gave orders, pilots who flew the missions, ground troops who pulled triggers, administrators who processed the deployment orders." His smile became predatory. "We know their names. We know their family connections. We know their homeworlds. Every human ship carries updated target lists with photographic identification and current location data." General Vextel's scales paled to an unhealthy gray color. "You're hunting individuals across the entire galaxy." "Correct. The new Brisbane massacre involved 247 individual hegemony personnel, from the commanding general down to the private who killed the youngest child. Human task forces are currently tracking down every single one of them." "And their families?" the gaseous collective representative asked in horror. "Are learning what human families learned on New Brisbane. That this galaxy considers children acceptable targets when political necessity requires it." The chamber fell into stunned silence as the scope of human planning became apparent. This wasn't random destruction or emotional lashing out. This was systematic, calculated vengeance executed with industrial efficiency. "Admiral," High Arbiter Colfin said finally, "what would humanity require to end hostilities?" "End?" Webb's laugh was without humor. "High Arbiter, you still don't understand. This isn't a conflict with objectives to be achieved and terms to be negotiated. This is an educational program." The tactical displays shifted to show the broader galactic map. Human task forces were moving beyond hegemony space, heading toward the home systems of species that had remained silent during Ambassador Chun's testimony. Humanity tried peaceful diplomacy for 3 years. We offered partnership, cooperation, and mutual benefit. We were answered with the murder of children and lectures about genetic threats. The galaxy has taught us that force is the only language you understand." Webb gestured toward data flowing.